Hello everyone, welcome back to the course of Introductions to General Linguistics. In these editions, we are going to discuss about the topics that is current issues in linguistics. So when we talk about current issues in linguistics, we talk about how the linguistics problems appear in society and it's in line with current conditions. It will be related to exclusively in linguistic branch itself, or maybe outside of that. Maybe it will be related to technology, social issues, psychology, environments, economy, and other social practices. So, in the end of these sessions, it is expected that you are able to understand and can mention the current issues in sub-branches of linguistics that I'm going to talk about. So let's discuss one by one. Let's start from social linguistics. As we can see that social linguistics is a subfield of linguistics that see the relations between language and society, that maybe there are certain variations or patterns of how certain social groups communicate to each other. So issue number one is related to social media today. That people maybe use Instagrams, use certain kinds of social media platforms, maybe Facebook. They create a new variations of language, whether it is in the forms of the spoken one or the written one. This is very interesting, especially it will be related to the speakers of the native language or the native English. Or maybe it's also interesting to observe how we as an EFL learners also try to make certain patterns of language in social media. Second of all is about geographical variations of the local language. So it is not exclusive in English, but it is about the local languages in your country. For example, that there is a certain variations of people speaking in an isolated regions or in a level of sub-district or districts. So we can see the geographical variations, and then we try to understand how the variations is about. Maybe there is correlation with language contact, or maybe prehistoric, or maybe the historical aspect of that one. Number three is about the speech of urban versus rural EFL speakers in Indonesian context. In this context, we, Indonesian, as the English as foreign language learners, have a different ideas in acquiring or learning the language. For example, those who live in the urban areas or city area, and those who live in the rural or remote areas. And the last one is that code switching and code mixing. Maybe you're familiar with South Jakartan's language, where let's say youngsters or young adults speak about certain issue, or they communicate to each other, but they mix the idea of English and Indonesians intensively. So you can observe about that one. Next, now we are going to talk about current issues in semantics. Semantics as a study of meaning. So there are a lot of issues that we can discuss right now, and it is special to the idea of contrastive analysis. So in this context, let's take a look at the samples about idioms, about certain idioms in Indonesia versus idioms in English, and you can try to compare, or idiom in English with idioms in your native language. The next one is that we can also compare, other than the idioms, other cultural concepts in the Indonesians and also the language. For example, the lexical field. Okay, the conventional example that I can give to you is that the example of how Indonesia has lots of words or lexicon in relation to rice. We have what we call beras, we have gabah, we have lontong, we have ketupat, and etc. but in English they have very limited. But when we talk about cheese, there are kinds of cheese, because let's say this is a culture of European countries. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, we only know maybe several forms of that one. Now you can observe other areas of this. And the last one is the ethno-linguistic parts that we can observe between two. For example, the anthroponyms, or the naming of someone in certain families, or the namings of the place in certain region. They have the meanings on it, and it is not exclusive in English, but is actually general for any language. Now, let's move to morphology, or the study of the word formations. Currently, there are lots of technological names appear. It's because of their new technology invented, or there are lots of terminology that should be formed in order to make the easy communications. So what you can observe, number one, is that the word formations about the products or technology name, or products related to the let's say health issues, or any current things that makes the English vocabulary develops. Number two is that you can also observe there are lots of Indonesian slang words that's inspired by English, and you can observe it in your daily life, like here in Indonesia as a university student, or you observe to the regions where English are mostly spoken. Alright, now let's move to phonology. In phonology, there are a lot of area of research that currently developing. For example, number one is that the vowel productions of English as foreign language to the certain ethnic groups, or the consonant productions also for the certain ethnic groups, and also the suprasegmental feature ones for EFL. So there are a lot of things that you can observe in phonology. Now, in discourse analysis, when we talk about discourse analysis, we talk about how certain text is powerful, it's produced, and also reproduced so that it has a significant impact to the society. So the area of discourse analysis always develop in this context that the issues is, let's say, very rich. You can observe a certain newspaper or any television or broadcast media that you can see what are the current issues right now, and then you try to see the representations. You try to see the power dominations. So you can use corpus linguistics as an assistance so that you can break down actually what is actually the formations of the linguistic features, and how the those linguistic features are formed to shape the mindsets of the society. And then you can also analyze the speech of any influential figures in the world, so you can see, let's say, the structures of the text. You can also see how certain linguistic features are formed to convey certain meanings. So this is very interesting and like never-ending issues in discourse analysis. Okay, from discourse analysis, moving on to educational linguistics, or language for educations. There are lots of issues, especially now when we talk about technology. So there are applications of new technology to in line with the teaching media, and then in line with the assessments of the language educations, or it is in line with anything from the preparations of teaching under the post teachings itself. So it is in relations with technology. It also can touch the idea of the multiculturalism. Like there are a lot of cultural issues in language teaching, especially for the language teaching like English, because we should relate this to the speakers as the students itself. What about translations? When you talk about translations, it is always related to now that machine translations develops, like the equivalency between source language and also target language is always observed, and how certain text is translated into certain modes and then delivered to the readers. So the idea of the machine translations is developing right now. Alright, so this is the end of the current issues in linguistics. So we start from social linguistics, and then phonetics and phonology, morphology, semantics, discourse analysis, educational linguistics, and also translation. There are actually more and more issues that you can observe. You can read journals of linguistics or also applied linguistics to see the current issues that we have right now. So you have inspirations, something to read or something that can fill in the gaps in your linguistics mind. Thank you very much, and see you in another occasions.